What's up, everybody? Art Turner, Data Productions Media. Dreams are tangible aspirations where we scheme our dreams into existence. I have an OG in the Gematria community on today for an interview. I'm really excited and I'm happy about this one. I've known about his work for a long time. He's been doing it at a high level with, sports betting and just decoding the matrix within the mainstream news. Welcome to the show. Simple Truth TV. Thank you for coming.
I appreciate you for having me. This is actually my first interview. I'm honored.
Yeah, you were telling me that off camera, and I was surprised because you're really well respected. You're popular. I would have felt like some of the more younger individuals would want to pick your brain, but I'm okay to have that first opportunity, and I know it's going to be a banger today. So I just have a lot of different questions for you today. I know we're going to talk about some sports. I know you wanted to talk about the Cowboys game, but we're going to start off easy and we're going to ease into it. So I know your channel's been around since 2020. When did you come into the knowledge of gematria, and what was that event or catalyst that made you want to start making videos on YouTube?
So, actually, I had a channel before this one, and it got deleted on my birthday. Actually, it got deleted on my 33rd birthday after I covered the death of George Floyd.
Okay.
And that video really went viral. It had like around 70,000 views, and none of my videos ever reached 70,000 views.
Yeah.
I was like the first time ever. And they waited until my birthday, my 33rd birthday, to delete me. I had over 600 videos on that channel. So my first video went up in 2018. It was around December. I covered the death of Lizando Guzman. He was a teenager that supposedly got killed by a bunch of gang members. And before then, I was doing a lot of decoding, but I never, wanted to put my face out there because I was scared. I was like, I want these people to, come after me and stuff like that because, what the rumors are. The rumors is if you ever speak out, they might come after you or they might do something to you. So I always had that in the back of my mind. So, but one day I said, you know what? I don't really care if they come after me. They come after me, but something needs to be done about this stuff because they really are fooling a lot of people, man. And it's really sad because the stuff that they do is so blatant.
Mm-hmm.
But so I put out my first video about Lizando Guzman, and I didn't get a lot of views at first. You asked me how did I learn about this stuff?
Yeah, how'd you learn how'd you come into this knowledge? When was like the first moment you found out about gematria?
So, before I started, I never used to be on YouTube at all. I thought, a lot of people, I had a bad perception on YouTubers. I thought people on YouTube were just misleading because I used to hear about Alex Jones and these people who are just out here to just produce promote fear.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to listen to these people. Every time I watch them, they always want to scare us. Like, you better be careful. They're coming for you. These people, they want to kill us all. And I'm like, man, I don't want to watch this shit. I feel every time I watch one of the Alex Jones videos, I'm always scared.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm not going to listen to this. But it was after the death of Michael Brown. I came across Zachary Hubbard's video on his death. And he was educating about the number 33. And at that time, I didn't know anything about 33 or how to use numbers to ritualistically kill people in the news. So at first I said, this is some more bullshit to scare us. But then, 4 or 5 months later, he did another video and it came up on my feed. Basketball, and I'm always interested to know about basketball, especially because I was a big bettor, and I always used to lose. And I'm like, why is it that I'm always losing by the spread? It's like if the game is like 5.5, I'm always losing either by 5 or the team is winning by 6, and I'm always on the wrong side of it. So I'm like, how does Vegas know to put the spread at 5.5 and the game to end exactly so close to that number?
Yeah.
How do they know that? So that's when I started looking up NBA is rigged. And I started putting that in the search bar on YouTube, and then I came across this video. He put a video out on the TNT analyst. I don't know if you noticed how Shaq and Charles Barkley, they sit across from each other.
Yeah.
And in that video, he was showing how Shaq has a connection to the number 47, and Charles Barkley has a connection to the number 74, and 47 is the reflection of 74, and that's why they always going back and forth with each other because they are opposites of each other.
Yep.
So I was like, wow, that is super interesting. So I kept watching more and more and more, and then I started making observations on my own. Then the Eric Garner stuff happened. Remember Eric Garner, I Can't Breathe?
Yep.
And then that's when I started doing my own decoding. And I realized that the cop that was choking Eric Garner was wearing a green T-shirt with the number 99 on the back. And I'm like, wow, look at that. They are putting numbers in people's face. But I went to the calculator, I typed in Garner, and guess what? It equals 99. And then I typed in racism, 99. And the location where he died equals 99. So I was like, wow, look at that. So I sent Zachary Hubbard my notes, and he posted it on his blog. And then that's how I started documenting what I was seeing. And then in 2018, I was like, man, this guy's doing, because he was doing a lot of stuff. He was putting out like 10 videos a day.
Yeah.
But he was not covering the stuff that I wanted to know about, like the Lizandro Guzman case, which was a very popular case here in New York City. Big 187 ritual. And, I started to say, you know what, I'm just going to put out my own videos, and hopefully, I can help him out with this mission. So I reached out to him. I called him up on his radio program, and I let him know about he started my own channel because I didn't want him to think that I'm coming at him or I'm trying to compete with him. So then, I started putting out videos, and then I started making sports predictions and stuff like that. And, here we are almost 5 years later.
That's awesome. You said 5 years?
Well, 2018, it'll be 5 years at the end of this year.
Man, that is a long time. I've been doing this since 2020. Just a little bit about myself and how I came to this knowledge. Like most people on YouTube, they normally start with Zachary K. Hubbard on Gematria Effect News Sports. I was the same way. I was starting at my awakening journey probably in like 2018, 19, but I didn't know about the numerology like I do now. What the catalyst was for me was when I saw Zachary's Kobe Bryant video saga that he started to do. It was right after Kobe Bryant's death. I already knew that a lot of the forces that be in the world are making chess moves to incite emotion and, like you said, control by fear. But I didn't have that gematria portion yet. But when the Kobe situation happened, I started seeing his decodes. And what really got me and what really told me this is for real was the All-Star game that year. Now, I believe off the top of my head, Kobe beating Bryant equals 157, right? Yeah. So in that All-Star game that year,
Kobe Bryant equals 157.
Oh, so Kobe Bryant equals 157. Yeah. So that year in the All-Star game, the point total was 157 because they had that goal to get to a certain point total, and it was 157. I think it was AD on the line. He missed one free throw and he made the next. But when that happened, I was like, wow, okay, this is for real. Another situation was the COVID situation. Same year. I live in Salt Lake, so I'm from the East Coast. I'm from Pennsylvania, about an hour out of Philadelphia, but I live in Salt Lake now with the 113 connection. With the Rona, Utah Jazz equaling 113. Basketball, National Basketball Association, and whatnot. So those were the two moments where I knew, okay, this was serious. So you know about the scripted sports part, but I feel like in my eyes, gematria is a lot bigger than that. I think it's kind of just like an energetic, it's just an energetic force within our world. But the people who know, they can script it. But I want to ask you, what's gematria to you? Just in like a general terms, like what's it to you, like philosophically, principality wise?
Well, to me personally, I feel like gematria is the code to be able to see through the propaganda. It's a language. It's not easily understood by many. But if you study enough, if you study the important numbers, you're gonna start seeing them show up in the headlines.
Yep.
And it's also, like you said, it's a form of energy harvest. I think the reason they do all these rituals is to enslave people even more. I think that what they're doing is they're creating their own matrix.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, the intentions is to really enslave us even more.
Mm-hmm. And it's like the Truman Show.
Yeah, but I feel like if you control
Mm-hmm.
you control the outcome of the games,
Mm-hmm.
then you control where the money goes. You
That's
control
true.
everything, and you keep people poor, you keep people in debt, you keep people in having to need to go back to their job.
100%.
That's
Yeah.
that's what I feel like their goal is. So for me, Gematria is basically the key to see through the propaganda. Once you learn the numbers, you're able to see and detect propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if you see in the news they're talking about the number 42, for example,
Yeah.
and you see that it's connected to some type of black celebrity, right there you can say, you know what? Let me not consume myself with this news because it's propaganda.
Yeah.
But look how they're coding these numbers in it, and that's what they always do.
One of my favorite videos was your 42 poem that you did. That video, that was really cool that you did.
I appreciate that. I remember when Aaliyah passed away. I was like, what was I, 11? I was like 11 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually started crying because I was like, man, that's so sad. Like,
Yeah.
this girl, beautiful girl, she has a lot of talent, and she just dies like that.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the media just kept, just talking about it all the time. And that's the problem with not knowing. Not knowing makes it pour out your energy and your emotions into these stories that are all bullshit at the end of the day.
Yeah.
Think about 9/11, for example. A lot of people probably cried after 9/11, or felt very emotional.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of the day, what was 9/11? A big propaganda scam.
Yeah. And that's our currency at the end of the day. Obviously, we have the monetary portion, but our currency of emotion, and that's what keeps us in control. Like you said before, that keeps us poor, keeps us in a broke mentality, a fear mentality, and that's exactly where the Matrix controllers want us. And so we've been talking about sports. You brought up a key point about the spread. Now, I've done research in the past about the mafia and stuff, and they base a lot of their stuff off the spread. And if you go back into the old show, First and 10 with OJ, in one of the seasons, in the first season, the mafia is involved with the team and whatnot, and they focused on the spread, how they wanted to control it. I know you specialize in sports betting with Gematria. In your opinion, what's the easiest sport to decode for betting? And is that sport your favorite? And if not, what's your favorite?
My favorite to decode, they're all pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the easiest one is any sport in the playoffs.
Okay.
Pretty much. Once the team gets to the playoffs, it becomes easier because there's less teams. And actually, I like football because football, they don't play back to back. They don't play the same team back to back, so that's easier. Basketball, they'll have a 7-game series. Baseball, they'll have a 7-game series. I think hockey as well.
Mm-hmm.
The only sport that doesn't have a 7-game series, I think, besides golf and
NASCAR, it's football.
Like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably football. So football is easy because you can concentrate. Like, for example, today the Dallas Cowboys are going to play the Buccaneers.
Mm-hmm.
You can concentrate on those two teams, see their head-to-head matchup, and know that there won't be a game tomorrow between these two teams. So if there's a 38 that can play today, you can feel safe on it and not have to worry about it coming into play tomorrow because this is a 1-game series.
Okay.
So the NFL is definitely the easiest, but they're all none of them are really easy. I mean, this stuff is really hard to do.
It is.
But if you do the proper research and you have the right clues, you can make the best determination who's going to win the game.
All right. So,
for example, the last World Series, the Astros won on the anniversary of the Astro World Festival tragedy.
They did.
And that was connected to Travis Scott and his album Astro World. And if you measure from the day that the Astro World album came out to that game 6 on November 5th, the Astros have played exactly 666 baseball games since the release of the Astro World album.
Wow.
And it just happened to land on the anniversary of the tragedy.
Mm-hmm.
So once you have those details, you can determine okay, this game is going to end. This series is going to end Game 6. It's not going to go Game 7. But if you don't have those details, it gets kind of tricky. Because then you're looking at a Game 7. You're looking at it. You're looking at other things that don't really matter.
Yeah.
So it's easy if you have the right details and you do the right research. If it's difficult if you're not doing the right research. And that's why I always preach that this community should work together because it's impossible for one person to see everything.
No.
It's impossible.
Mm-hmm.
You give one person a game, you give another a decoder the same game, and those two people are going to find different things about that one game.
Different angles.
But what I always preach is, let's all work together and share notes.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just put out my Super Bowl pick for free. I said that the Jaguars might play the Eagles on February 12th. So what I also said in that video was, if you guys can further this research, please come back to this video, leave a comment of anything that you noticed, and people did that. If you go to that video and read the comment section, there's a lot of notes under that video and a lot of great observations that make me feel more comfortable about the Eagles actually playing the Jaguars. It is a coin toss because there are different narratives that can play, but that's the beauty of this community. Mm-hmm. We can all work together, trying to figure out who's really going to be in the championship game. Who's going to win.
Yeah, I agree with you that this community does need to stick together, and that's awesome that your breakdown you just had, because I was just about to ask you about some about just a little bit of your secret sauce and what to look at, and so you broke that down nicely, and it's crazy because I feel like for that Jaguars in Philadelphia's pick that you have for the Super Bowl, like most things in scripted sports, that's heavy storyline. You have the Eagles on one side. I'm traditionally an Eagles fan. Obviously, I don't watch as much of the games I used to. And actually, my parents, my family, they don't even allow me to watch the Eagles game because every time I've tuned in, we've started to suck and lose. So I can't watch any of the playoffs or anything like that. But with Doug Peterson on the other side with that 27-0 comeback on the Chargers, I've always told people, I don't know how you bet on the Chargers ever because they're always up in the air. They're just a shitty team to bet on. But I want to go back to your Houston Astros point, which is very interesting with the Astro World connection for a year. But also, I don't know if you heard about the Phillies side of things with the economic crashes throughout the years and stuff. On my side of things, I'm more of stocks oriented within the Gematria world. So I focus on the financial markets more or less. And it was interesting to see the sports side to it because that was the fourth time in history where the Phillies were in the World Series during like a significant economic downturn in American history. You had the Great Depression in 1929. You had 1980. And then you had 2008 with the Great Recession. Now, what makes all those different is because you can argue about which recessions were bigger, especially in the 80s. But what makes these four instances interesting, each time in those playoffs, there was a team to come back from 8 or 7 or more runs to win a game. The first time was the Cubs and Phillies in the World Series, 1980. I believe, I think it was another team. It was the Phillies again versus the Astros. Then you had the Red Sox in 2008 that had to come back, and then you had the Seattle Mariners that had come back in 8-run comeback this year. And when the playoffs happened, I noticed that hard times equals 43, which is 34 in reverse. So the last 3 times Phillies were in the World Series, they won with the 8-run comeback within the playoffs. But I saw with the Astros, it would have been 3 and 4 in the World Series, and there was a lot of connections there. So it's interesting how all these different components come together in the sports world, in the stocks world, to kind of create our matrix. Speaking of storylines, do you have a favorite storyline throughout your experience that you were kind of really interested in more than the rest?
You mean like a championship storyline?
Yeah, so something that you were decoding that you kind of spent a lot of time decoding because you had interest in it and maybe you wanted to win money on it or just it was attractive to you.
Yeah, there's been a lot, but I think my most memorable one has to be the Toronto Raptors championship and how they synced it up with Drake.
Okay.
When I come to notice about these championship games, for some reason they connected to rappers, and I don't know if you've noticed this, but if you look back at all the championships, somehow, some way, it's connected to some type of rapper. I don't know if you knew this, but the Warriors, every time Kendrick Lamar puts out an album, they win the championship.
Wow!
Right, and last year they won the championship on Tupac's birthday. And there was a story that Tupac was at the Celtics. Actually, a Tupac lookalike was at the Celtics and Warriors game like 6 years ago, and then the Warriors ended up beating the Celtics on his birthday.
Wow.
That's one of the things that I've noticed, how whenever this championship comes around, you always want to like see if it's somehow connected to some type of rapper, because I don't know what's the fascination with rappers, but they always sync it up with rappers. Also, think about like I said, the Astros winning on the Astro World Festival tragic anniversary.
Yeah,
that's synced up with a rapper, right?
Travis Scott. Ballers want to be rappers. Rappers want to be ballers. You know, that's a huge connection. Jay-Z, you know, and he's kind of be like the mogul of like the kind of like the sports rap mogul, you know, the poster child of that. So
yeah, then think about Jay-Z's connected to the Brooklyn Nets. I'm pretty sure if the Brooklyn Nets ever make it to the championship game, but they'll have it synced up with Jay-Z somehow. And I don't know if you remember, but the year that LeBron James beat who was it? They beat in the finals. The Miami Heat.
Okay. No, when he was on the Miami Heat.
No, he was on the Lakers.
Okay, Lakers. Okay, finals. Oh, finals. Cool.
Yeah, that finals was synced up with King Von. He put on an album called LeBron James, and then he died right before LeBron won the championship. So those are the type of clues that I try to look for, the type of narratives that I like to search for, because they seem to be very consistent. Trying to think of another one. Oh, the Rams. The Rams won the Super Bowl on the anniversary of the All Eyes on Me album. So all these things, like, just think about it. Why is, and I don't understand why they connected to rappers for some reason, but I think it's because of what you said. You know, rappers want to be ballers and ballers want to be rappers, but there's always like a theme with the rappers in the championship game.
Wow. I mean, you know, that's such like, you know, that's an obvious saying, but I didn't really think about it like that when it comes to championships. One of my favorite storylines in hip hop rap is the Biggie Smalls story with that Knicks player. I forget his name, but you know, Biggie's song "I Got a Story to Tell." And he's talking about Anthony Mason, and you know, there's some gematria behind that too. I also like I feel like the NBA does it best with storylines. You know, how the NBA was saved. You know, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson. What's really interesting about that one is they first initially met in Salt Lake City, 1979, in the NCAA tournament. And then they go on to their career. You know, one side was yellow and gold, the other side was green and white. Now, if you realize, like, you know, the Jazz are originally from New Orleans, and you know, green, purple, gold are the top colors in New Orleans. So there's, you know, some mystical workings here, and I think, you know, ultimately Salt Lake City is kind of the real Hollywood, and you know, LA is the icon of it. But what really happens magically in the mainstream, it happens in Salt Lake for sure, and sports shows that. So I'm gonna switch it up a little bit. We're gonna get a little bit more technical with gematria, and maybe this is a little bit more insight on what you probably do when you decode. Disregarding the 4 base ciphers, is there an alternative cipher that you use to try to gain insight from whenever you're decoding?
Yeah, I like to use. There's a lot of ciphers, but I like to use not simple. What am I saying? Single reduction.
Okay.
Single reduction. That's the cipher where you only reduce S once. This S is a double-digit letter.
Yeah.
In full reduction, you have to reduce the letter S twice, right? Because S is the 19th letter. 1 plus 9 equals 10, and then 10 you have to reduce it again. So 1 plus 1 equals 1. 1 plus 0 equals 1. But in single reduction, you only reduce it to 19. And I've noticed that a lot of riddles come through with the value of the single reduction cipher. That team for a team, for example.
Okay.
But just going back to what I was saying about rappers, have you ever heard of a Fifth Ward BB?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah, he died at the age of 42, right before the LSU Tigers won the championship, and they won the championship with 42 points, and he died at 42 days before his birthday. So just to close it out with the rapper theme and the championship games, that's just another example that I forgot about.
Yeah, I remember that because Zach did a lot of did some like boots on the ground videos for that, so I remember that Weeby situation. Thank you for bringing it up. That's cool.
Championship games connected to another rapper. but single reduction, you know, a lot of people like the Jewish Gematria. Satanic Gematria is also relevant. I don't know if you ever heard of Zenith or the Alpha.
I've heard of
He
it.
focuses on the keypad cipher.
When-
And I've seen, I come to notice that the keypad cipher is relevant as well. Keypad cipher is the, if you look at your phone,
Mm-hmm.
notice that the numbers have letters.
Yeah.
So,
And so when I look at ciphers, I really believe each one has a theme and like an overall energy. Like if you think of a forest, each tree is going to have like a different unique thing about it, if you think about it. So obviously, your English ordinal is going to be different from your reduction. Your single reduction is going to be different, than your full reduction for just minor angles. But for the keypad, what I think it's really relevant today is because of social media and how we type with each other and stuff like that. And what I found with the keypad, when you type in tweets or like simple sayings or what people say on social media, some powerful numbers come up. In my case, I always like working with the 33s, 33, 137, 333, a lot of those permutations. So that's interesting you bring that up because that person does use a keypad, and it does play a big role. And I think into this modern world, it plays even bigger. What we're talking about a little bit, in your eyes, is there multiple valid ways to decode? Or because I feel in the community sometimes when you speak to other people, obviously everybody has different perspective and views. I feel more traditional Orthodox people have a struggle with people using gematria a different way than may have learned in a strict book in like Kabbalah or whatnot. How do you feel about that? What are the principles that have to stay the same, and how much wiggle room can you use with the gematria?
just repeat the question one more time.
I'm sorry. It was my bad. So I feel like traditional gematria practitioners from the background of Kabbalah, when they read the old Orthodox books, they have like a very specific way they decode, and when they see other people decode a different way, they kind of get upset because they feel like that's not the correct way how they've learned it. I've had struggles with this time because I use it for stocks. They don't like me using it as more of a divination purpose than what they use. So I'm more or less asking, how do you feel about how people use this practice?
Well, everybody's different. I try to mind my business because you know, once you try to criticize somebody or try to correct somebody, they usually get offended.
Mm-hmm.
So I let everybody do their own thing. I try to do my own thing. I try to stick to the 4 base ciphers.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I use that single reduction cipher that I just talked
Mm-hmm.
about. But the Kabbalah ciphers and all the other ciphers, there's definitely relevance to all of them because that's why they exist. If they didn't matter, they wouldn't exist.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to just stick to the base cipher because you can see enough with the base ciphers. A lot of people criticize me because I don't use astrology in my work. And I'm like, man, I don't need it to see what's going on. Like, I don't want to become an expert decoder. That's not my goal.
Mm-hmm.
My goal is just to put out enough information to wake some people up and eventually grow our numbers so we can do something about this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
There's no point of continuing to make videos about somebody's demise if nothing's going to be done about it.
Mm-hmm.
The other day, I just had RFG Chosen One on my show, and he talked about, like, what is the point of continuing to expose what's going on if we're not going to provide the solution?
Mm-hmm.
And what I told him is, if we don't grow our numbers, nothing can be done anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Because even when we do these rallies and the community comes together, there's only about 20, 30 people there.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what can 30 people do when there's a network of thousands of people working together? The Illuminati is a big group.
Mm-hmm.
They're not just 2 or 3 people.
Yeah.
I think there's like over 30 people in the football team. So think about it.
Yeah.
We need to grow our numbers, and then that's how we can end this corruption. But everybody does the work differently. I let people do whatever they want, and it is what it is because I can't police everybody.
Yeah.
People get affected easily.
I'm happy you bring that up, especially it always goes back. I tell my community all the time, we have to keep building and strengthening ourselves. And I think one aspect is we all have different angles we come from. And for me, I feel like the one aspect that the Gematria community struggles with is money. We have kind of a distorted mentality about money. I hear all the time, whether it's on your channel, Zach's channel, somebody hating on them for charging a specific price for their Patreon or this and that. And I feel like we need to adjust our thinking on it. We don't need that that broke woke mentality. And so when I got into Gematria, there was already a lot of people within the sports betting space, a lot of competition. My demeanor is more stocks and finances anyway, but I felt like this was an opportunity. If we can just grow together, if I can pick up a couple people along the way, that could help build the community, because we're missing that financial aspect. So if I can teach a couple more people how to fish for themselves, they can start really doing more. Because the protest, the boots on the ground, that's great, but not everybody has that within themselves to go and do that. But everybody needs to have it within themselves to make money and to influence other people around them in a moral way, of course. So I agree with you in that. And I think with the stocks portion I'm doing, I think we're on the right direction 100%. We talked about it. I know you understand, a lot of people in the community, we know there's a scripted part of the Matrix. And sometimes, I know there's a scripted part of the Matrix, but I also have felt, even in my own life, there's a lot of organic synchronicities that happen. My last name is Turner, 33. My best number in football, I played 2 years of college ball. I played 13 years of football in my life. But my best number, the best numbers I had stats in, was in 33. It's 33 in reduction. Every time I went to the casino, played roulette, I throw it on 33. It more or less or not, it pops up. And so I know there's an energetic attraction to numbers in our names and our situations. So how do you feel about the organic part of Gematria, or do you feel like there's an organic part?
Yeah, the thing about the organic side is, you see how your name is Turner.
Yeah.
Let's say you decide to change your name.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Is the matrix around you going to change as well?
I think it adjusts with that catalyst.
I feel like people change their names all the time. So I don't like to focus too much on the organic side, because I feel like the organic side is like making an excuse for the wrongdoing, right?
Okay.
If you focus on the organic, right, and then we show that this celebrity, for example, died like Fifth Ward BB, who died 42 days before his birthday. Somebody might say, well, that's organic because my mother also died 42 days before her birthday. Does that mean that she's a Freemason? You know what I'm saying? So that's why I try to not to focus too much on it, because at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. If there's an organic side, there's nothing we can do about it anyway. What we could do is we could do something about the corruption.
Yep.
What we see in the news is not organic.
100%.
The sports game is not organic. That's what we should be focusing on. The organic side is going to do whatever they want. But what I'm saying is, if my name is Michael, which equals 33 as well, and I decide when I'm 18, I decide to change my name to Alexander.
Yeah.
Does the organic matrix change now? Because let's say I was supposed to die at the age of 33 because my name was Michael. Now what? Am I going to live till I'm 36? Did I change my name to something else?
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't get into the organic side because I don't understand it. Does names change? Okay, I'm not sure about this. Can you change your birthday? I think people have changed their birthdays. People who fake their deaths.
Yeah, and that gets into a whole other side, and what we I guess with the scripted side. A lot of these people we see on mainstream news, they're not real, they're not even real people, like all this CGI and stuff like that. So it definitely gets very complex in trying to figure out what's what in the mainstream world. Because when you even look back at,
we have seen celebrities change their birthdays. Like, what's his guy's name? Chadwick Boseman.
It did change.
2 years old the day he died, and then a few days later he was 43.
Yeah. And what's interesting is we bring that up. It's throughout history that's happened, thousands of years. Because think about, they may not change their name or birthday, but their pen names. There's so many, Freemasons in the past, or elite type of people that have had multiple different pen names and stuff like that. So it gets really crazy. I read a lot, and like the pen names come up, and all these different elites have different names and stuff. So it gets really, crazy. I have I don't know how much more time you left. I only have one more question, but we can keep discussing whatever. But it's Martin Luther King today. It's Martin Luther King Day today. Um, and I when I've come into this knowledge within the awakening community, I realized there's another side of Martin Luther King that obviously the mainstream didn't show. What are your thoughts on MLK as a symbol icon, and if you have any info of what he did behind closed doors? Was he an asset?
It depends on how you look at it, because if you read his books and you listen to his messages and his speeches, they were all positive, they were all motivational. But what I've noticed about MLK is that he died by the number, just like Malcolm X. And his death and Malcolm X's death are very similar. They both died at the age of 39. They both died in Kensington at number 44. I think MLK died on 4/4, and Malcolm X died on the day of 44 numerology. And we know African American is 44, and Obama became the 44th president. That number has been used against black people throughout history all the time. But I don't trust anybody that's in the cabal. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're with these people, if you're a part of the network, I don't know how much I can trust you. But if you listen to his speeches, they were all very motivational. They were uplifting. But I mean, what did that do for us? I mean, that didn't do nothing. I mean, we are still slaves. We are still under the cabal. He didn't give us a solution.
Yep.
All he said is, I have a dream. Yeah, you have a dream, but people who have dreams are usually asleep. And I don't want to be asleep. I don't want to have dreams. I want to be awake, and I want to know what's going on so I can free myself.
Yep. And it's the scripting's not even just in sports specifically. It's in the our leaders. We were talking about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Their polarity. And so how do you divide and conquer? You get the black community on both sides of the equation. One side believes the other one is lesser than the other side, and we can't ever agree. And I say this all the time. As a community, as a black community, African American community, or whatever, dark skinned community, we need to focus on ourselves first and our communities that we can tangibly touch. Everything we see on the news or what we really can't touch, it really shouldn't matter. We need to be able to build ourselves, because it's a crazy stat to understand that once a black person gets the dollar leaves the black community within like 3 days or something like that. When it's within the Jewish community, I think it's like a month, and any other community it lasts way longer. But we have no sustaining power. But it starts at home first, and these icons that they give us, the more or less they don't help.
And you got to also think about it. If this country celebrates your birthday or has a national holiday to honor you, are you really against them, or are you really against us?
Yeah, that's definitely asset behavior for sure. And that's a very interesting, because I hear sometimes his father, or well, some family members got killed after he died and stuff. But that's all distractions from the truth. At the end of the day, he had his purpose, and he did it. Those are the questions I had for you, Simple Truth. Man, this was a great interview. Hopefully, we could do this again. I'm happy to be your first one ever. If you have any questions for me, I'm able to, answer any. If anybody on your live stream have any questions, we could still discuss. But if not, we could wrap this up either way.
Well, I appreciate you, man. You're actually the first person to ever reach out to me and interview me, so I really appreciate it. My question is, you said that you used the stock market with the Gematria. How does that work? Because I've never done that.
And so this came to me about in 2021. I've already figured out about Gematria at this point, so I was really looking for the next step, how to use it, because I feel like it could be used not only to decode the matrix world and the news, but also yourself, the stock market, and other things. So what's interesting is when the stock market was created, I believe it was May 17th, 1792, and that actually has 130. It's so the 138th day of the year, because it was a leap year. But normally it's the 137th day of the year. And for me, the 137th with the 33rd prime is a big number. A lot of my work is based off 33. We have 33 vertebrae in our spine. That's our backbone. Stories equals 33. And so where I'm going with this, a big phrase in the stock market is what's the stock story? Why should I buy in? And so in our realm, stories are important. That's how humans interact with each other. That's how we learn and stuff. And the stock market's no different. So I look for stocks that have, the 33 backbone within its gematria. Another big number within the stock market I look for is 27. Why is 27 important? Business equals 27 in the reduction cipher, but also going back to backbone, spine equals 27 in the reduction cipher. And think about it, money makes the world go round. It's the backbone to society. So these are kind of just like principal decodes I look for. Gematria equals 38 in reduction. Quality stocks equals 38 in reduction as well. And so what I do with that, I just try to match, powerful numbers to powerful companies. And it usually works. In 2021, I 4,000x my community's profits based off this knowledge. Obviously, it was in a bull run, but we're doing big things and strides now within the recession. So it's quite complicated, just like how you said with sports betting. There's a lot of different nuances. I have a lot of videos on it, but the first stock I used Gematria. So you heard about the GameStop squeeze?
No.
So the GameStop is a company. Obviously, they sell games. In 2021, the price of GameStop was like $9. I invested at $9 in it was October 2020. In January 2021, it got up to like $300. But it was in the mainstream news. Zach was doing videos on it, talking about how GameStop equals 33. Come to find out, my name and GameStop have the same 3 out of 4 in the base 4 ciphers: 69, 33, and 97, I believe, and 3 of the 4. And so that's what really started down my path of me knowing that, okay, you can attract energies, can attract energies. And so from that point on, I started doing that with different stocks. The next stock I got in was this penny stock, and Tom Brady was involved with it. It was called Labor Smart Inc. That's equals 55 in reduction. Tom Brady won the Super Bowl 55 that year. And so Alex Guerrero, his trainer, was a part of the stock as well. And that stock, tripled in price. It was a hydrogen water company. I'm still in it, but it tripled the price when I found out about it. So yeah, that's a little bit what I do. It's pretty much the same concept. You're just putting energies together, and you still have to use regular basics in investing. You can't go off the grid too much.
Yeah, have you ever heard of Shakozy Truth?
I've heard of the name. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he used to make a lot of videos decoding the stock market. So you might want to get in contact with him, and you guys will definitely put your brains together.
Awesome. I have to. Okay, thank you, Shakozy Truth. I've heard that name. Do you know how to spell that? No, it's like CH or whatever.
CHI.
Okay.
CO.
CO.
I think it's GIE. Shakozy. Actually, ZIE.
Okay.
No. CHIGOZIE. Shakozy.
Cool.
Something like that.
Cool.
Truth. You type it in the search bar, it'll come up.
Awesome. Cool. I got that. Yeah, dude, simple truth. This was awesome. I like thank you again for doing this. This was very valuable. Hopefully, your community and my community enjoyed this. And we can continue to build upon this relationship. I felt like this was a great start to everything.
Absolutely. And just to close it out, today the Dallas Cowboys are going to play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. People asking me about that.
Yeah.
And I put out a video from my Patreon earlier today, and I'll just give you guys one clue. That clue is the number 166. That's the clue for tonight's game.
6.
So if you can figure out where that number fits, then you probably have the correct outcome of the game.
Okay. After the outcome, are you going to explain like in like a different video after you're going to explain what it is? Okay.
Oh yeah, I'll release the video that I have unlisted, and people realize what I meant by that. So.
Awesome. All right, we'll see. I can't wait. I'll be watching. And hopefully it's a good match, entertainment wise. So Hopefully you make some money as well. All right, Simple. You have a good rest of your day, man. Thank you again. D.A.T.A Productions Media. Oh, go check out his channel. Go support his Patreon. Please, just like keep building him up, man. He's an OG and he deserves all the respect. So, yeah.
Appreciate it.
Be good.